There are flashlights, then there are flashlights. The X80GT-2 from Acebeam is insanely powerful, certainly in the top 5 most powerful flashlights in the world, if not the most powerful of this size. And it is best described as a blindingly strong searchlight rather than a flashlight you might take camping. The flashlight and EDC, or everyday carry market in general, has seen huge growth over the last decade. Cynical me would say that's an indicator of societal unrest, but that's a topic for another day. At 34,000 lumens, this is an incredibly good flashlight for search and rescue, hunting, law enforcement, even personal protection. It is more than enough to do serious damage to or really disorientate somebody. And frankly, I'm surprised they're even legal. Oh, and it'll also hurt you if you're not careful. So I hope you'll join me, James Bruce, as I take an in-depth look at the Acebeam X80GT-2 and help you decide if this is your next flashlight. In terms of design and size, it's about the same as a pop can, a little bit less even, and weighs 580 or 1.36 pounds. It doesn't exactly fit in your pocket, but it isn't uncomfortably heavy either. Included in the box is an optional handle, wrist strap, and in fact a carry case. So the carry case itself has a Velcro strap, a belt buckle attachment, as well as a clip for a carabiner or keyring. So lots of options for you there. Now we'll talk more about temperatures later, but suffice to say it does get very hot. So while you can use it handheld for a short period, I would suggest fitting this handle anyway. One thing you cannot do, however, is mount it to a rifle or any other kind of Picatinny rail. Despite this serrated pattern on the handle here looking like some sort of mounting system, in fact, I've read on other reviews of the previous X80 GT model that claim it is a pick rail mount. It's actually not. It's literally just a grippy handle to make sure that you don't drop it during use or in the water, that sort of thing. They don't sell a pick rail adapter for this model, nor does it have remote trigger functionality. In fairness, I wouldn't want half a kilo of added weight on the front of a rifle or on a helmet. It would be somewhat impractical. But I'm sure if you really wanted, you could jerry-rig something. The handle actually attaches via a standard UNC 1/4-inch tripod thread, so that's another mounting option. Unfortunately, it's a dumb handle in the sense that it doesn't have a button on it or anything like that. The mode selector button is in fact on the other side when you're holding the handle, the other side entirely. Outside of testing, of course, you're not going to be switching the modes all that often. But it was a bit annoying when I was walking around the field trying to switch through all the different modes quickly. Overall, it's a very sturdy and well-built, impact-resistant to 1.5 meters and waterproof to 30 meters. However, it isn't a dive light, so it shouldn't be turned on or off underwater. It's purely in terms of protection in case you drop it underwater. It'll still be fine. So onto the UI and operation. All control happens via a single button here. There are 2 basic modes, Eco and Power mode. You can switch between them while off using 10 presses of the button, and the light will flash twice for Eco mode and 3 times for Power mode. Now, there's no fundamental difference in operation between the two, except for that everything is a bit lower powered in Eco mode, so I can't honestly see the point of that. But anyway, it's easy to ignore that feature. So you press once to turn it on or off. It does have a mode memory, but only for the standard 4 modes. You can't use the single button to go straight to turbo or strobe mode. Standard modes you can swap between using a single long press of the button. There are 4 brightness levels, and if you switch into a turbo mode and back off again, it'll default back to high standard mode when you next turn it on. But that's the 4 standard modes, as you can see. 2 clicks will get you into turbo mode, either from any other mode or from off. You can go straight into turbo. Another 2 taps again will put you into turbo max mode. Now you can't go straight into this. You do have to go first into turbo, then into turbo max. 3 clicks at any point straight from off state will take you into strobe mode. There's also a low power mode, which is accessed by long pressing from off. You can't even see that, it's so low. And that's basically it. There's no red or green LEDs, so it's really just the white variations of modes there. There's no other special functions or features, but it is good to be able to get direct access to turbo and the strobe modes via that one button. So in terms of brightnesses, let me just run you through the full specs here. Low is 220 lumens, 34 hours runtime. Medium 1 is 1250 lumens for 7 hours. Medium 2 is 2000 lumens for 3.5 hours. Medium 3 is 4100 lumens for 2 hours. High is 9400, dimming to 4000. That's for 4 minutes, then 1.5 hours of runtime. Turbo 1 is 17800. For 2 minutes, again dimming down to 4300 lumens. And finally, the brightest mode, Turbo Max, runs for 1 minute continuous, and that's at 34,000 lumens. That's the brightest it'll go. The strobe runs at 4100 lumens, and that's for a maximum of 3.5 hours. Okay, so let's talk about the beam spread and the brightness in reality. As I mentioned, the highest is the Turbo Max mode, which requires you to double click, then double click again. It reaches a maximum of 34,000 lumens, and that's in power mode and half a kilometer beam range. Now that comes from a total of 18 Cree XHP 50.3 LEDs. Now the beam is a very wide angle, not quite 180 degrees obviously, but it is 170-ish. It's not directional at all. It's just going to flood illuminate everything in front of you, so it's perfect for your peripheral vision. Of course, with a highly restricted beam, you would be able to illuminate further away with less lumens, but you would get that extreme tunnel vision. With this, you'll just see everything. There's no hot spots. Even sort of 50 to 100 meters away should be perfectly visible, and it's really just incredible to behold this in use. For context, the quick demo video I'm showing you now is approximately a 50 meter by 50 meter or half acre square on a hillside, and I was blown away by how comfortably it just illuminated everything there. It really is like turning pitch black into daytime. It's very, very impressive. If it weren't for a wall of trees around the field, it would have gone much further too. So how about power, batteries and charging? The X80GT-2 is supplied with 4 18650 4.2 volt batteries, none of which are spare. They take up the bulk of the main body, and the battery case just slips out and can be inserted either way up. However, there is no onboard charging circuit, so when your batteries are out of juice, the LED indicator will be flashing red at that point, green, red, flashing red. You'll need to remove them and use a separate charger. You can't just plug this into a USB-C or something. Now, I bought a £25 smart charger on Amazon to do the job. It has a clear indicator. Acebeam also do their own charger, which you might want to pick up at the same time if you're going to buy this. It's about the same price, $30-ish. It does take quite a while to charge the batteries, at least mine did. Around 6 to 8 hours total with 500 milliamps charge rate on each battery. But then again, these are very high capacity, and to be honest, fast charging is actually bad generally for the life of a battery. You want to be able to slow trickle charge it. If you can't wait for them to trickle charge, if you don't want that downtime, then do pick up some spare batteries too. They're about $20 each though, so, you know, not cheap. It's pretty easy to remove the batteries. The main body just twists off and the battery holder falls out. So the lack of charging circuit isn't really a huge deal. I will end this review by mentioning safety. 34,000 lumens is dangerously bright. It will at best disorientate and at worst blind people and animals. So you absolutely must be careful with this. I mean, you won't just blind one person who you're pointing it at, you'll blind an entire field of people. I've mentioned attaching the handle. The primary reason to do that is in prolonged periods of use of high brightness, this will obviously get hot. In practice, you would likely have an airflow around it. Of course, the ambient temperature would be less if you're using it at night. And I should say that when I took it out for a spin, you know, it did get uncomfortably warm on the main body after a while, say 30 minutes, but it wasn't actually enough to burn as long as you're not touching the direct top piece. and there was no problem at all using the power button or the handle. That stayed well within comfort levels. So if anything, on a cold night, it's actually a nice hand warmer. Still, there is a potential for safety problems, as with any high-powered heat and light emitting device. So now we get to the big question: is the Acebeam X80GT-2 for you? If you have the previous model X80GT or any existing high-powered can-style light, I would say it's probably not worth upgrading unless it's really old. There's nothing truly innovative here. It's an incremental upgrade. A really nice one, mind, but it is incremental. If, however, you don't have one already, you're looking for something with a very high output, a very wide angle beam to just flood light, that will turn a large area literally from night to day, as well as an easy to access strobe capability for self-protection, then this is an excellent choice given the price per lumens and the ease of operation. If you need something with an instant on to 4,000 lumens without having to cycle through modes, you know, this is great. It is pricey. I mean, it's certainly not the priciest flashlight out there. It's just under $400, but it is by far the most powerful torch of this size that you can buy. And if you need it, this will certainly serve you well. Thanks for watching. I hope I've told you what you need to know about the Acebeam X80GT-2. If I have, please hit like, drop a comment if you had any other questions that I haven't answered. Otherwise, do consider subscribing to this channel for more gadget reviews, tech giveaways, and more from all of us over at makeuseof.com.